You will not believe that a Microbrand made this watch, because I've reviewed what feels like hundreds of watches on the channel now, and this is probably the most impressive one yet. The status quo is officially broken. Hello there, my name is Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker, I hope you're having a good day. Get ready to see one of the most impressive watches you've ever seen from a Microbrand, because the watch that we're taking a look at today is luxurious in almost every single sense of the word, but somehow costs substantially less than a very similar looking Christopher Ward. For those of you who have been watching the channel for a while now, you might know that I have a little bit of a guilty pleasure when it comes to skeleton watches. Watches where you can see the inner workings of the movement doing its magic through the front of the glass. I love this style of watch so much that I built my very own skeleton watch just a few months back. But putting this one next to the one I built makes me look like an absolute amateur, which, come to think of it, I probably am. Another watch that I'm a huge fan of is the Christopher Ward 12X, a watch that I feel is giving the big Swiss brands a serious run for their money with what's on offer. And I think the watch we're taking a look at today is giving Christopher Ward a run for their money with what's on offer here. The brand that we're talking about today is fan favourite Zelos, a brand that many enthusiasts consider to be one of the very best micro brands in the whole world. I've had the pleasure of checking out two different Zelos watches before today, both of them incredibly impressive. This one today though has blown them out of the water. Zelos has sent over this watch for free. I do get to keep it after the video, but I have full creative control and there will be a dedicated floor section towards the end of the video. Zelos, as always, delivers one of the best unboxing experiences you'll likely see. Not because it will wow you or anything, but just because the thing is actually useful. It comes with a really high quality leather watch roll with the Zelos branding. It features a suede interior and 3 sliding cushions for your watches. Genuinely a great pouch for your next trip away. And guess what? No instruction manual. They respect your intelligence. So this is the Zelos Skyraider 40, a watch that delivers a luxurious aesthetic and feel for the price of a mass-produced Longines. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. This is just different gravy. Instantly the vibe here is luxurious skeleton watch. It really does have that high-end watchmaking look and feel. You can see the train of wheels, the balance. You can even see the mainspring through the skeletonized ratchet wheel. And you can probably see now why I say this is a competitor to the Christopher Ward 12X. But this watch isn't an out-and-out integrated bracelet sports piece. Instead, this watch is actually loosely based on a pilot's watch, hence the name Skyraider. The biggest hint of that being the triangle and 2 dots up at the 12 o'clock index. And it is this normal bracelet integration that makes this watch so unusual. Most watches of this style don't allow you to use regular straps, but here, that's not the case. This watch features a standard 20mm lug width, so you can wear this watch with pretty much any strap you want. So I will show you this watch on a variety of straps throughout the video. But what really makes this watch super special is the movement. This isn't just some modern mass-produced movement, nor is it some sort of Chinese special like you can often get with the cheaper skeleton watches. This movement is the Swiss-made Marvin 700, a movement you likely haven't heard before because it's from the 1960s, a movement that is no longer in production because of the quartz crisis. Zelos sourced these new old stock movements and have heavily reworked them, skeletonizing various parts, rhodium plating the bridges and main structure in black to contrast heavily with the moving parts, and skeletonized the ratchet wheel so you can see the mainspring in action. They've even done some almost microscopic finishing to the back of the ratchet wheel with a guilloche finish. It is truly breathtaking to see all of these parts up close. Watching the balance, the train of wheels, and the mainspring is a watch nerd's dream. I can only imagine how much work it took to get this movement looking as good as it does. This movement runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour, so it ticks 6 times per second. Zelos hasn't told me any accuracy promises, but the one I have is running at just -3 seconds per day. And of course, this is a manual wind movement, so no automatic rotor. But the crown is nice and big here, so winding is a pleasure. But this movement does have one big flaw, which I will mention towards the end of the video. Typically, the Achilles heel of a skeleton watch is legibility, as it's often hard to read the time with everything going on. Zelos has tried to combat that by using a pungent orange colour on the handset and hour markings. The handset here is sort of sword-like in design, with skeletonized sections around the pinion. The minute track also stands out heavily due to being printed on a black surface away from the skeletonized elements. So in terms of legibility, the Skyraider offers some of the best that I've seen on a skeleton watch. Also, all of those orange elements are doused with a covering of superluminova, with that orange very quickly turning to green. The lume here, it's not going to keep you awake at night, but will certainly suffice for the style of watch. But just check out this awesome piece of sapphire glass. It's boxed in construction so you get that beautiful bubble effect, but then flat on top with anti-reflective treatment so reflections are minimal. Thankfully, clarity here is brilliant, so we can enjoy this movement in full glory. The glass also integrates unbelievably well with the case. The transition from bezel to sapphire here is so sleek and smooth. The case is made from titanium, by the way, so it's super duper lightweight. It almost feels as light as a Casio. I'm not sure what grade of titanium this is, but it features a hardness coating up to 1200 Vickers. And I've accidentally knocked this watch a few times already, and I'm yet to see a single scratch on it, which doesn't happen very often with titanium, trust me. At least for me anyway. It's also not common to see titanium this well finished. Zelos has used brushing, polishing, and bead blasting on this watch. The case sides, bezel, and upper lugs are brushed, with the inner lugs being polished. The bracelet then features a bead blasted section in the center, with the lower section of each link featuring a brushed finish. Then, just for a little bit of flash, there's a polished edge running down each side of the bracelet from lug to clasp. The finishing here is brilliant, especially on the bracelet, which is usually an afterthought for most watch brands. The bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs to 16mm at the clasp. The links here are relatively small and are adjusted by screw pins, and yes, the bracelet is also made from titanium with a hardness coating. The clasp is completely custom with a big Zelos logo in the center. It features a simple double push button system that is satisfying to operate, and of course, yes, it features on-the-fly adjustment. This one uses the spring-loaded system, which is my personal favorite of the quick adjust family. Simply pull down the bracelet to adjust the size, but I have to give credit to Zelos for how small this clasp is. Usually quick adjust clasps are huge, but not here. However, of course, you can wear this watch on any strap you want. My favorite has been this simple brown leather strap. It sort of puts the focus on the dial completely, and because the lugs feature that inwards polished section, the strap integrates really well with them. Either way, the wearing experience here is going to work for most people. The previous Zelos Skyraider model was actually 42mm in diameter, so definitely on the larger end. This one though comes in at a more mass appealing 40mm case diameter. Lug to lug here is 47mm, and the case thickness is just 9.9mm due to the manual wind movement. This watch wears perfectly on my 6.5-inch wrist, both on the bracelet and on a strap. Although the bracelet does make the watch a bit larger because the links don't have a ton of articulation. But of course, no watch is perfect. Here's the flaws. Because this movement is from the 60s, it is lacking a modern feature. This watch doesn't have hacking seconds. Now, it's not too big of a deal because you can back hack the watch by setting the time backwards slightly, but something to consider nonetheless. The bracelet doesn't fully articulate like you'd expect. It's extremely rigid. It's almost stuck in one place. Now, it does hug the wrist nicely, but it's just a weird feeling. I suspect that it might not be comfortable on super small wrists. And this one is for sure subjective, but I would have loved the Zelos branding to be more prominent. The Zelos logo on the right hand side of the skeletonized dial is hard to see. I would have liked this to stand out a little bit more, because I actually think the Zelos logo is a rather good looking one. But of course, the biggest flaw for most will likely be the design. This is not a watch for everyone. It's a very niche design. You have to have a taste for skeletonized watches and also have a little bit of a taste for pilot watches too. But if you don't like this one in particular, but you like the style of watch, Zelos does have a few other versions to choose from. You can get this exact titanium version with white markings instead of orange. If you want to get something even more crazy, you can get a version with a Damascus case that's sort of got like a rainbow effect. There's even a version that features a tantalum case, which I'll be honest, I know very little about. Either way, you're getting a pretty special watch here. So here comes the painful bit. Price. This watch ain't cheap, and with everything going on here, you wouldn't expect it to be. Prices start at $1,749, and they go up to $2,499 depending on which version you go for. When you get to these sort of prices, reasoning just goes out of the window. But if you do actually compare what's going on here with the Christopher Ward 12X, for example, it's less than half the price, but it's practically offering the same thing. But each version here is limited to just 75 pieces per model, so this is no mass-produced watch. This is something special for the collector who wants something super unique. The last version Zelos made of the Skyraider did sell out. I expect this one to as well, because the 40mm case will for sure appeal to a wider audience, and I think the design of this new model is much better balanced than the last version. I am for sure keeping this watch in my personal collection for a long time to come. It is probably the most impressive watch that I've ever checked out on the Top Tier Ticker channel, because to me, this watch feels like high high-end watchmaking at an affordable luxury price point. This watch goes on sale on the 10th of February, and again, I don't know how long these will be in stock. So have a word with your wife if you're thinking about buying one. Go and check out the other versions of this watch using the link in the description, especially the Damascus case version. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.